Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, bringing you another Dota 2 video, and this video is Heroes of the Week, Episode 8. Our up-and-coming hero for this week is Morphling, who is sitting at about a 52% win rate as the 13th most picked hero in pro-level pubs. Why is Morphling good? The reason Morphling is incredibly strong right now is relatively simple. He has the second highest agility gain in the game, next to Terrorblade, who's considered strong because he has such a high agility gain and he's an illusion-based hero. And he also has the third highest strength gain in the game of all the agility heroes. On most agility heroes, this would of course be relevant, but for Morphling, it's super relevant because of course he can switch between strength and agility. That means that for every agility point he gets more effective HP. For every strength point he gets more damage in his right clicks, more move speed, more attack speed, more armor, more damage from E-Blade and Adaptive Strike. Basically, strength equals agility, agility equals strength if you're good with Morphling. However, one extremely troublesome problem for this hero, specifically during the TI-8 era, was that there was this game-breaking bug where if Morphling leveled up while morphed into another hero, he wouldn't gain the stats for leveling up. This is obviously a massive problem for him because he's a carry, so he makes great use of the stats. And this was such a frequent occurrence that morphs in competitive would frequently get to level 25 and be missing like 30 agility. Despite this, Morph was still picked a lot in this patch where this was a problem, just because the Morph rework made him so much better than before if you were good with Morph. That being said, in the downtime where Morphling hasn't been considered a top-tier hero since then, this problem was shadow fixed, and Morphling has also been buffed in so many other respects. So how do we play Morphling? You first want to pick Morphling for safe lane or mid, start with a massive amount of regen and stats, max Morph first, Adaptive Strike second, then Waveform, getting your ultimate whenever you can, setting up salves because you can just morph to agility and get full HP. Pick up early Morbid Mask after treads, and farm creeps at max agility. Push lane safely and jungle on the opposite side of the map to your team, then TP to fights if it looks like you can contribute, ideally after splitting the enemy team up. Build into Linken's, Scotty, Manta, BKB, then 5-man with your team. An effective build-up is Yasha into Linken's just because it's very efficient. Morphling is of course a hyper carry, so usually with these items you can just 5-man into your opponents and you'll win. How do you counter Morphling? Basically, you want to do anything to counter his morph ability, so you can get heroes that burst Morphling when he's sitting at 0 strength, such as Zeus, Skywrath, or Lion. You can pick heroes that disable Morphling before he gets the morph off, such as Lion, Skywrath, or Shadow Shaman. And you can pick heroes that do percentage damage, such as Doombringer, Necrophos, or you can get items that do percentage damage, such as Spirit Vessel. Our overrated hero for this week is Lifestealer, who's sitting at about a 49% win rate over 995 games in pro-level pubs. So the main reason that I would say Lifestealer is significantly weaker than he was at the start of the patch is relatively simple. Basically, Midas was just broken at the start of the patch. There was a severe lack of gold, Midas had been buffed, and therefore heroes who benefited from both the gold and the attack speed of Midas, they flourished. Until Midas, of course, got nerfed, and now it's basically back in the spot that it used to be in. It's a comeback item or occasionally a greedy item for playing a kind of static game. With this being said, heroes such as Chaos Knight and Lifestealer have subsequently fallen off because other than Midas, they don't really farm particularly fast compared to something like a Terrorblade or a Jug with Battle Fury. But Lifestealer also doesn't really fight particularly well early either, so you can't just build into drums or something and just fight instead of building a Midas. When compared with something like an Ember Spirit, Brazier, or Ursa, which are all very popular heroes right now. He survives, sure, I'm not saying he doesn't, he's very tanky, he's hard to kill, but he's not really a great fighter unless there's a very tanky, high HP hero on the enemy team. On top of this, Lifestealer had his strength gain nerfed twice, so now it's lower than it was when they buffed everybody's primary stat gains in 7.21. This is a problem because one of Lifestealer's defining traits as a hero is that he's naturally tanky, due to the evasion from his talent, evasion from Radiance, magic immunity, and his high strength gain. Now this is of course less so the case. Moreover, his rage cooldown has been increased so that it's 18 seconds instead of 16, so he's far less slippery. If he uses the rage, you can kill him a lot easier, and his feast does 0.25% less damage at all levels, which matters a lot because that's max HP. However, these changes aren't even the worst for Lifestealer. What I would argue is making Lifestealer's life much more difficult right now is the fact that a lot of the trending heroes deal with him exceptionally well. Razor, Ursa, Morphling, and Troll are all excellent examples of this. So for these reasons, I don't think that Lifestealer's a bad hero, and I know I say that every week. He's just a regular hero. He's not great, but he's not bad. And his pick rate, I think, has been reflecting this in pro level pubs every patch since 7.20. Our underrated hero for this week is Broodmother, who is sitting at about a 56% win rate across 150 games in pro-level pubs. So why is Brood underrated right now? Basically, the way I see it, the level 10 talent for Broodmother on the Spawn Spiderling talent, this honestly breaks the hero. The reason I say that is because heroes like Kunkka, Tiny, Timbersaw, your typical Broodmother counters, once you hit level 8 to 10, and they do as well, generally they can just run around one-shotting your spiders, and they're so tanky that they can just do as they please, ignoring your spiders, where that would usually be a really strong power spike where you can run at all the towers and heroes with your spiders and kill them. However, with the level 10 spider damage talent, Broodmother now has this absolutely monstrous power spike where she does 405 damage on an 8-second cooldown nuke. So, where heroes would usually counter her spiders, making her ineffective in fights, she's now effective because you can just get a gank and you're this huge nuke magic damage dealer. The problem with this for other heroes is that this used to be the period where you could pressure a Brood heavily. She didn't care about you in the lanes because she just farmed behind her own tower with spiders, worst case scenario, and she didn't care about you in the late game because in the late game she's just your typical right-click carry with the Satanic built into her ultimate. But in the early mid-game, where she's not strong but her spiders are, if you could prevent her from running over you in this period, her game is significantly harder. That's where a lot of Broods would win games. That's exactly why having this level 10 power spike is so broken on Brood right now, because against counters, she is no longer punishable. While this solves a huge issue for Broodmother, she has also received a plethora of other buffs as well, all of which make her strictly better at all points in the game, such as a 0.3 agility gain increase, giving her a little bit more armor, movement speed, and damage, a 3 base damage increase, a 5 base movement speed increase, which is important because her webs give her percentage movement speed, and then numerous buffs to all of her talents. These buffs make it so that Brood is strictly a better hero in the late game than she once was, but also she has an easier time against counters, which is extremely important because an uncountered Brood has always been one of the best heroes in Dota. Like, even when she's a bad hero, if she's uncountered, she just wins the game. So how do you play Brood? Pick Broodmother for mid, go Stout, Quelling, and 2 Mangoes or 1 Tango. Start spamming your spiders at level 3, rush Soul Ring. Farm your own jungle with spiders against counters, farm their jungle and cut the wave against no counters. Farm treads plus defusal, and then get your team to group and fight mid once you have the defusal blade. Build BKB plus other damage items and carry the game, farming the greediest farm possible because it's very hard for them to kill you. Take fights after splitting up the opponents with your spiders that are pushing towers, or just run at them if you're very far ahead, which typically does happen on Broodmother. How do you counter Broodmother? You want to get heroes that clear and don't die to spiders, such as Tiny, Legion Commander, or Kunkka. You can get heroes that chase Brood over trees, such as Batrider, Ember, or Spirit Breaker. And you can get heroes that can set up on Brood while she's farming jungle, such as Bounty Hunter, Riki, or Treant Protector. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to comment below who you think would win in a 1v1 between Jenkins and 2 Donnies. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.